Some facts about life never changes. 1,000 years ago and 1,000 years from now. Some characteristics like greed, fear, happiness, joy, overconfidence, jealousy, risk, all the things remain the same, which is fundamental to life. So the book we have today is same as ever, written by Morgan Housel, a guide for something that never changes. Hanging by a thread, the life we have or the events or the surroundings we have, if you see politics, economy, market, everything, it is actually hanging by a thread. A small event can break the whole ecosystem, the whole status. If you look at it in isolation, if you look at it as a big picture, you will not see it. The small comedy. If you look at all the major events happening in the history, even happening which started world wars or lot of changes in politics and all, that actually happened by a small incident. Like for example, Franklin D. Roosevelt, the gun attacked by one of the person. Actually, he mistaken the fire, and Roosevelt became the president. Same like that in many places small things grow it into exponential thing and it change the status quo. So that is same for your life as well. Small events, even that is negligible or not actually fathomable, will create big impacts. Risk is what you do not see. So risk is something which is left over after we thought of everything. That's how we are very good at predicting the future. But we are not very good at predicting the surprises. Like COVID-19, Great Depression, Pearl Harbor attack, all those things actually happened nobody was even expecting. Even the 9/11 attack, that morning the news channel would have told very nice morning, today's temperature this and that and all. Same thing for every other day. We are not expecting a flu from Wuhan will just change the whole world. It doesn't happen like that. The point is that instead of we have to invest in preparedness rather than prediction. That's the best approach. That's something like we have to do same like what California, the city, prepare for earthquake. You have to prepare in that way. Like the same way Bill Gates has prepared when he started Microsoft. He always keep the cash for the next 12 months because he's not very much certain what will be the revenue. If there is no revenue coming, he want to make sure that his employees are getting paid. Expectations and reality. So first rule of happiness is to have low expectation. If your rule is to become happy, it is actually easy to get it. The problem is that when you wish to be happy more than other people, that's where all the problem going to start. So we are driven by envy rather than greed. Envy is something which is related to other person. Greed is something inside. Actually, envy is most dangerous than us. If you look at another way, if you are living in a rich neighborhood, then that really matters your happiness, even though you are very much rich in other context. Actually, happiness is relative. If you are a billionaire in Silicon Valley, it doesn't matter much. If you are a billionaire in a third world country, that really matters. So there is no objective wealth, everything is relative. So if you think money can buy happiness, it is something like drugs can buy pleasure. It is not sustainable. Like if you look at earlier decades and all, we used to have smaller homes. Even for camping was something like a good vacation for the family and all. But now bigger homes, because everyone want to make something bigger than their neighborhoods. That's the thing. And vacation, everyone want to make something which their friends and someone is not going. So expectations and realities, that never changes. John Keynes, the famous economist, once bought in auction some of the materials of Sir Isaac Newton, proofs of Isaac Newton. And he was astonished that the greatest scientist of ever has been spending most of his time on alchemy, sorcery, and eternal life and all. So if you think it, all the materialistic thinkers actually follow Isaac Newton. But what Isaac Newton was following was something else. Same like that, if you take Elon Musk, what kind of a 32-year-old will same time be going to fight against General Motors, NASA, Ford, and Facebook? He has to be somewhere abnormal. So, wild minds, people who think about the world in unique ways, will also think about the world in unique ways you don't think. They're abnormal. That is why they are successful. Wild numbers. Actually, we human beings are very bad in comprehending big and small numbers. Daniel Kahneman. So the point is that we do not want accuracy, we want certainty. If you give the probability of happening something, we don't want to appreciate. We want that to be certain. That's it. Like same thing happen in every parts of life. Like for example, if you want to understand a person, you don't want to keep that very much open. You don't want to have that uncertain scenario. You want to judge something fast. Similarly, if you someone is going to tell that okay, drinking alcohol will become bad for you, you're not sure when which amount of alcohol will become, so you'll go on cigarette. Same, even if someone asks you to put seat belt, you are not very much certain that this particular drive will make that accident, so you are not going to appreciate that. So we do not love accuracy, we much appreciate certainty. Best stories always win, not the best idea, not the best rational idea, or the best ideas usually win. The best stories actually win. If you look at all the histories, it is the same. So Mark Twain, the famous writer, who used to tell that his success as a writer usually used to, when he's writing, he used to check how his family respond when he tried to read aloud. Based on that, he just changed some paragraphs and all. And his success is telling his writing was same time enjoyable for Wilhelm Kaiser the second as well as the Potter. Same thing happened to Martin Luther King. His famous speech, actually it was not well scripted. It was actually scripted, but what made him famous, what something he just poured it from his heart as a story. Same thing like for John F. Kennedy, to send a person to the moon, he was able to sell that idea, that story, to the janitor as well as to the engineer. Same thing to Charles Darwin. Many people come before and explain about evolution, but Darwin was the one person who make it that successful. Same with Albert Einstein. So perplexing idea of relativity, he make it in such a simple way of thought experiments and paradoxes. Even though a person who don't know anything about mathematics or physics can understand it. Same way to the modern year entrepreneurs like Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos, they were able to sell that vision, that story about that future in so convincing way. That is what making them successful. So more than a best rational idea or a best idea, the best story always wins. Does not compute. If you look at all the things, especially about marketing and investment market, people make lot of calculations, but when people think that most of the time it will be true, but the point is that there are some factors which does not compute, especially the human feelings, because logic is something like an invention of man, and most of the time, or most probably, universe is not listening. The feelings of man, the people personality, their mindset, their feelings, their uncertainty, their emotional disturbances are not getting quantified. So that really matters. That's why, like for example, Lehman Brothers in September 10, 2008, it was one of the best or the most stable financial company, banking company in the world. After 72 hours, that whole thing collapsed and that gave to the great recession and all. So what really changed was the human feelings and human faith. So never ending chain, we are somehow like a never ending chain of confusions, messy relationships and all these things. So we are mostly driven by such forces. That's why if you think you can perfectly compute how a market believe, how a politics believe, how a group of people believe, you cannot compute actually, because that is driven by which is not computable. Calm plants the seeds of crazy. Carl Jung have a famous theory that more of something will create an opposite of something. So, for example, take economy. When the economy is stable, people are more optimistic. When people are optimistic, they are going to take debt. When they are going to take debt, people will less purchase, and that will become economy unstable. So, it is if economist is trying to solve the recession, if they don't want to stop the recession, it is actually impossible because the calmness or what is not there, that duality is creating the opposite. The calmness is going to create the craziness is going to create the calmness. Too much, too soon, too fast. Warren Buffett famously told that you cannot create a baby in 1 month by making 9 ladies pregnant. Same time, the most important thing in life, like most of the things, you cannot make it fast, it needs some time. Short run will create damage. So, growth is actually not a strategy, it is actually a tactic. The most important thing in life, like a relationship, love, career, investing, all of the things actually comes with two important things: patience and scarcity. Patience to grow, and scarcity to admire what is growing, what it grew. When the magic happened, one of the most important breakthroughs in the history, especially in the technology and innovation, happened by military. Like if you take, for example, automobiles, aeroplanes, rubber, photography, atom bomb, lot of things, highways, microprocessor, lot of things happen in military. Why? Why military was an engine of innovation is because they have been occasionally dealing with problem that's so important, so time constrained, so that everything what is considered as obstacles like money, manpower, and all such things will take it their backseat. So that's why there, when there is that kills procrastination and that kills indecision, that's when the magic happens. So stress or anxiety, something focuses our attention to something important. Even Thomas Edison even have a famous timeline. He called that every 10 days a small invention, every 30 days a major invention. He somehow want to make that time bound thing so that our focus and attention will go on achieving it. So magic will happen when there is stress and when there is a time bound action. Overnight tragedies and long term miracles. Point is that if you are going to make build a trust from a person, that requires lot of efforts. But to break that trust, you just need one small incident. So good news coming from compounding, but bad news it can just happen. Anything in life, like for example, to create a human baby, it requires billions of steps before and many billions of steps after. Even after 5 weeks a baby will have a brain and a beating heart and all these things, and when it is born it will have 100 billion neurons and 250 billion synapses and all. But to get to be alive, to make a live baby outside the world, it requires lot of steps. But to make that things, when one small missteps can get a demise for a baby as well. So overnight tragedies can happen, but long term, that is where miracle happen. Like it requires small steps, and that will grow to a miracle. Tiny and magnificent, when little things compound into great things, similar to what we previously talked. But if you take it another way, like if you become obese, that's not, as per 2010 Yale study, it is not because of you are eating larger meals or something, it is because you are eating small snacks too much time. Same thing to heart attack, same thing the fats getting deposited, lot of small things. It is not because you are not exercising one day, it is because you are not exercising for a long day and you are eating such food for a long time. Same thing for personal finance. If you are making small purchases which you don't have money, you will end up in such problems. So the main inability or to understand human being is that we don't understand the exponential function. We were very linear in understanding, that's why we fail it. So the greatest thing or greatest force in the living universe is evolution. Nothing in science can blow your mind as what evolution has achieved. That is actually happening in 3.8 billion years ago. very small steps it has created, so that you cannot see it in each individual year or a day, but you will be astounded to see how much it has achieved in 3.8 billion years. Elation and despair. So progress require actually optimism and pessimism to coexist. If you follow self-help books, you think that you have to be optimistic always, be positive like. But pure optimism means everything is great. Pure pessimism is everything is like trouble or everything is gone like. The point is that the middle between that is the sweet spot, a rational optimist. That's where we have to acknowledge that history is all about setbacks and grow up and all, like progress and all. That way, progress require both of them to exist. So you should be somehow like a rational optimist. The best financial plan is like save like a pessimist and invest like an optimist. Casualties of perfection. If you look at all the most productive people around it, all other things, you will understand that there is some level of inefficiency in all of these people. There is a huge advantage of being little imperfect, because that actually creates some advantage. If you look at all other, even in the sports, in science, or in every sector, if you look at Albert Einstein having the problem in the childhood or some understanding on space and thing, and also same thing about Mozart, Charlie Munger, Buffett. Even it is some level of imperfection in life. If you look at the personal life of all these people, Steve Jobs used to call it productive narcissist. Same like Musk, same like Bezos. A lot of people have their own personal problem. If you look at Melinda Gates and Bill Gates, they were having a perfect couple, but they got divorced and all. But I'm telling that's not the reason. The problem is that life is okay to be little imperfection. That little imperfection, that little nothingness. That because success is something like how much time you are having available to kill. Even the Ford, Edison, and all those legendary billionaires used to have. They used to go some time in a particular year to a forest to have their own times and all. Even Bill Gates used to take some 2 weeks off without anything in his company, even though he's a very busy man, because he's telling that is some of his most productive time. Same thing what is happening for just washing plates for Jeff Bezos. Same thing for Brené Brown, the author. So some level of nothingness actually bring us some eureka moment and some thought experiments on. Even it is being famously considered that the creativity is actually enhanced by just walking without thinking nothing. That actually enhance our creativity, that actually creates a void and something to come up. It is supposed to be hard. The point is that everything that is worth pursuing is actually little hard. If everything is simple, if you think if you are efficient, actually you are doing it in the wrong way. So right way is the hard way. So certain level of imperfection, especially if you are a manager or something, people used to think that just accepting little of nonsense, little of imperfection is noble. But actually, it is just unrealistic. It is very much difficult for such managers to survive. It is supposed to be hard. If your life is so easy, if your work is so easy, that means you're in a comfort zone. It is time to look at something else. If you are doing something is very easy, it is actually not inefficient, you are doing it in the wrong way. So evolution, as we mentioned, it is a study of advantages more than survival of the fittest or anything. So the most competitive advantage, people think that okay, I will just study or improve or something, that I will have an edge on something, then I'll stop so I can relax. But the point is that the best advantage actually, after the pass of time, it will become a disadvantage. So no advantages. So you have to always keep running, keep updating your life. If you look at all the big corporations before, like General Motor, Chrysler, AIG, Motorola, Time Warner, Kodak, or Nokia, most of these organizations or companies were so big, you at that particular time you will think that they are going to stay forever. But if you look at now, Nokia is somewhere, Motorola is not the place we have. So no advantage is always stable. Advantages change. You have to keep running. The wonders of future. Once Thomas Edison was asked by a reporter, do you think that age of invention is going to be ending? Because we have invented most of the things. Then Edison just look at him and ask, no, it has not even started yet. So then the reporter just asked again, so you do think that you will have more things advances in the future? Is immediately Edison told yes. Everything what we are creating now, that will actually trigger to make something better than later. That's what actually Edison even did. Edison did not invented bulb from vacuum. He tried to improve the model available to make it better. That's what everything, like every technology, even if you look at the mobile phones, what Steve Jobs have changed, the mobile phone industry have totally changed. Even something what is made for ARPANET, made for military communication, that has changed the whole network of internet. That's why me and you are watching this. Same thing for every small negligible improvement or invention actually compound into the wonders of future. Harder than it look and not fun as it seems. So if you look at more successful people, you will think that they have been living the peaceful life and all these things. That's why they achieve. Let's take for example Elon Musk. He told that when if you try to just squeeze me as a sponge, you will get lot of pain. Same with Bill Gates, lot of other people. They, if you think that is easy walking through the life, that's not the reason. It is more harder than it seems and lesser fun as you think. That's why they achieve that. So if you are in a painful journey, that is actually required to achieve such a thing. So we, otherwise people think that they have been chosen. And time, like for example, for sure the timing is important, they are part on that particular part of the century to do something, but most of the time it is hard work more important than luck for anything else. Incentives, the most powerful force in the world. People actually follow incentives, not advice. James Clear. The point is that people, if you look at all the investment scams and all, it happened many times before in the century. Even now, when something is getting exposed, you will think that what such a people, why such a people are, even after all these lessons, they're investing again because of incentives. Somebody is going to tell that you will get that much of that. We become predictably irrational and we just go on. Even the biggest things, everything from wars to recession and all these things happening in the life, that is actually driven by incentives for someone. The war is incentive for someone else, politics is incentive for someone else, that actually pass or cross the moral boundaries, and people try to defend themselves for their incentives. Now you get it. So unexpected hardships actually make people to think in so strange ways that they will not do it when they are just sleeping with a full stop. Like take for example Adolf Hitler and World War One and all these things. The point is that in 1923 Germany was having that much inflation. It is almost just tripled to many millions or trillion times, I believe. So that situation of the market, one person coming, Adolf Hitler is coming and telling something like a promise of a good future. People don't have to think much more than that. So that's how the people, when hardship is there, we are able to take risk in such an exponential way, which is not possible when we are very much comfortable. Time horizon. People always tell that long term is good, short term is bad. But actually it is not very much easy as it seems, because long run is actually a collection of short run. Your long term goal is a collection of lot of short term goals. So to become long term, you have to be little patient and little stubborn, otherwise it will not work. So the only solution is to just take the small steps in such a way that it will achieve. You always have to make sure that that is achieving your long term aspects. If you are going to purchase something, or if you are going to invest something, or take out something, whatever in life, or career decision, or all these things, that short decision is actually counting it or stepping the stones for your long term. You have to have some level of patience for that long term, and some level of stubbornness to make sure that you are sticking to that foundational ideas of your long term thinking. So trying too hard, actually complexity sells better. For example, if I'm trying to explain some aspects in a more complex way, two things will happen. First thing, you will think that I am more knowledgeable person, and another way it will try to create some level of mystique around me. Same thing for if you look at consultants and all, they will not tell you easy way of doing things. Even if you look at a book may have 200 or 300 pages, but the author is maybe trying to sell an idea. Maybe it is already available in first or two chapters, but it is extended to 10 or 12 chapters, because that is the only way we will appreciate. We will appreciate the length as effort and thoughtfulness. So, but most fundamental thing, for example, in life, like in finances or in any other things, it is actually very simple. You can just simplifying it to most one or two points. Rest is actually just making it some decoration around. So simplicity actually feels like an easy walk. Complexity is a mental marathon. We like, as human being, we like complexities than simplicity. So wounds heal, scars last. There are a lot of incidents happen in the history, and people just come back. Even if you look at Hiroshima in Japan, or even the recent one we have COVID-19, we used to come back and everything goes normal. But the point is that that is not actually like that. Our wounds from that incidents will heal, but the scars will remain. So such thing, you will assume that what just happened will happen again. There is a difference. Like the Silicon Valley entrepreneurs who was there in during that dot-com crash, they think differently the world, same way as the people who just started living in Silicon Valley or working in Silicon Valley afterwards, because that dot-com crash has given them some lesson. Same thing, like whoever have been in the COVID-19 pandemics and lockdown, they will think differently than someone has born after 2020. So wounds heal, or wounds from lot of bad situation heal, but the scars actually live on such people. So when we are trying to understand the people or the people around it, that scars is actually going to speak out loud. So if you, that's somehow the conclusion of the book. If you found value in the book, please feel free to subscribe and follow us. Also, if you like to do similar level of book, I have another book in the channel called Clear Thinking by Shane Parrish. So please check it out. Until we come across with the next book, bye. Thank you. Bye for now.